Half-Life. Half-Life is a game I am sure most people have either heard before or have played it. It is a first-person shooter and story game that was published in 1998. Half-Life was one of the most influential and innovative games for its time. But what made this game so influential? What made it innovative for its time? Half-Life is a game that takes place in a science facility in the Mesa of New Mexico. The complex is big and has been making breakthroughs in its research of foreign anomalies. The story in it is from the eyes of a level 3 research associate scientist named Gordon Freeman, who at the start has a task at hand. His job? To push a cart into a spectrometer. Simple, right? Wrong. In reality, you were pushing an unknown crystal from Zen. This was for testing what the properties of the crystal are. The whole task fails and the antimass spectrometer becomes unstable. This leads to what the scientists called a resonance cascade. This is a cataclysmic quantum event, or in shorter terms, a portal to Zen. Unaware of what this task was, the players left in confusion, later learning that it opened a portal to another dimension, Zen. The opening of the portal has left the complex in a state of apocalypse and decay as you watch your fellow scientists and guards get swarmed and eaten by these Zen creatures. Throughout the game, you see a character called GMan. Theories have surfaced about GMan, but it is never confirmed who GMan is. For now, we can assume that is Gordon Freeman's employer/boss. He can also be a bigger person in the Black Mesa complex/company. The mission that you are told is to escape the complex and help any scientists along the way. The mission was flawed from the start. When a resonance cascade occurs, all Black Mesa troops are deployed and have a mission to eliminate any witnesses of the incident, including you and your fellow guards and scientists. This is to cover up the incident. These troops later have to fight back against the alien forces, and as you make your way through the complex and its many buildings, you find new weapons, enemies, and useful tips for gameplay. There are also many bosses in the complex. Eventually, word gets around that the Lambda complex may have found a way to close the portal. Gordon, on his way to Lambda, is captured by the Marines and is thrown into a garbage compactor, and loses all his weapons. He then makes his way to an older part of the complex and regains his weapons and gear. The Black Mesa troops pull out due to being overwhelmed by the Zen creatures and begin airstrikes. The scientists then inform you of a way to close the portal from the other side. You are tasked with jumping through the portal and defeating the boss holding the portal open. The rest is on you as the player. Half-Life, being released in 1998, was a difficult game to run. It was mainly released for PC and later ported for PS2. Many people were introduced into the world of graphics cards because of the higher quality and having no ability to run off of the CPU's graphics well. Many people did not own one at the time due to the rest of the video game market's stalemate at graphics qualities. Many games could run off the CPU itself, and now in recent times, a graphics card is needed to play most games on PC. It was almost impossible to play on without a graphics card due to its newer and higher resolution textures. The game's audio was very clean and mostly had no issues. The game was not very buggy, but clipping and other glitches or exploits were found later. These were mostly found for speedruns. The load times were very appealing because loading in was quick, but the game had sections where small loading took place in between the Black Mesa complex. This would allow faster load times at first, with small sections of breakage in between gameplay. The game overall was a 10 to 15 hour experience, depending on how much of the game you completed. This includes achievements, secrets, and other hidden sections of the game. There were a lot of different characters, but most of the larger grouped characters, for example the scientists, Vortigaunt, and other groups or masses of characters, shared the same character model. Other main characters of the story include Gordon Freeman, GMan, and the Goliath. The story is a mix of sci-fi and part realistic due to the meltdowns in combat. Otherwise, it is very unrealistic due to the aliens and alien world. The story is being told through Gordon Freeman's eyes or perspective. It is a first-person shooter throughout the entire story. The controls are fairly good and are mostly customizable, which is a huge plus. The control over the character could be improved, but overall for its time it was very good. What was interesting for me was I have played the game many times, and I still find little Easter eggs and things I haven't found before, which is a huge surprise to me. It does all the things right, and even the most innovative and non-innovative stuff very well. It has a very surprising storyline that might come as surprising to new players, and I love this game because of the perfect design and storyline. Overall, my top game of all time. Black Mesa is a game that was recently released on March 6, 2020. It's a third-party remake of the popular game Half-Life. Black Mesa was developed and published by Crowbar Collective. The game was created in the source game engine, the same that Half-Life 2 was created in. Half-Life was created on the Gold SRC engine, which predated the source game engine. The creators of Black Mesa were the people that wanted to change things when Half-Life was ported to the source game engine by Valve. Valve allowed for Black Mesa to become a commercial release later in its lifetime, and they got to work. They kept the main gameplay while changing textures, features, weapons, and mechanics. They changed a lot when it came to the graphics quality. They even changed the difficulties of the enemies and puzzles. Their main focus points were the Zen chapters. Black Mesa is also an FPS game, just like Half-Life. The main changes from Half-Life's story were AI changes to enemies and the Zen world. In all, I would say this is one of my favorite remasters or remakes of any game. This is due to their attention to detail and overall quality of what they put out. In these clips from Black Mesa and Half-Life, you can see the difference in quality and design. Crowbar Collective spent a lot of time on what Valve rushed through in Half-Life. Black Mesa has some of the best quality and graphics I have seen in a game. The game also includes more gameplay than Half-Life in the Zen world. This was a great addition to Half-Life's game, and hands down is one of the best remakes of any game. All in all, I would recommend both of these games. Both are great and polished games based on the same storyline. If you are looking for a newer game that has the same story, I would recommend buying Black Mesa. This is because the visuals of the game are some that blow other games out of the water. If you are looking for a classic feeling and easy to run game, I would buy Half-Life. This is because today this game is easy to run and has a very nostalgic feeling while playing. Overall, I would recommend both of these games if you are looking for a good game to play both the classic and remastered edition. In total, Half-Life has innovative and new features that make the game different from other games at its time. Black Mesa is the higher quality and remastered edition of this game that would also be evidence that the Half-Life game and series is one of the best games for its time and is still influential today.